Perfect.
So it is the holiday season, and as a Thabo Mbeki Foundation, we thought, let's have young people talk to other young people. Like, what are young people saying to other young people during this time? Are you like, a person who's saying, hey guys, let's continue adhering to COVID-19 regulations? Or are you the person who's spreading recklessness, saying, yes, yeah. Just your headspace. And for us, our theme is building Africa. So what are young people doing during the holiday season with building Africa in mind? Are they even thinking about the continent during this time? So, I had the conversation with Solomzi, and I asked him, do you think young people have a role in building Africa, or are we just waiting for our leaders to build this continent for us, and then we just going to inherit this beautiful, lovely continent, or are we actually going to be going into the trenches with our leaders? And he said, the trenches. I'm in the trenches. So I want to know, what does building Africa do?
Okay, so building Africa to me specifically means like investing in our own sustainable development, because I think sustainability is the biggest issue that we have in the continent, right? So we have an abundance of resources, an abundance of skills, but the problem is knowing how to make sure that that happens sustainably, and that even if one person leaves an organization, that the organization can continue to do its work. So I think for me, a big thing is sustainable development, and specifically investing within our own communities. And I think maybe lessening the dependence on like welfare or like external intervention. So believing in our own skills and working with what we have to solve our own challenges. I think that's the most important. I mean, I don't always envision what that looks like specifically in my area of expertise, but the only way to do it is through, right? So, yeah.
That's amazing. So you're in art, and I love talking to artists because I believe I'm an artist at heart. I used to, be part of the choir. I used to play the marimba. I actually still play the djembe, and I was that girl coloring a lot, and people used to ask me why, and I said, because I just feel like I can express myself. I feel like when I'm creative, I can express myself. And as I've grown older, I've realized artists nowadays use that space to be able to tell stories, right? And a lot of artists now are wanting to tell stories from Africa. They want to tell authentic stories about their lives, about what they've been through. So for me, I want to know, why is storytelling and using art specifically is important to you?
So for me, it's a different form of communication, right? We're used to verbal forms of communication. We're used to written forms of communication, but often it's not enough. It doesn't do enough. It doesn't move people enough. And so that's what visual art and other forms of art do, is that they create a different language, maybe a new language, maybe a language that you've learned to read in different ways. So art is a form of knowledge production, right? It's a form of storytelling, and it's visual. And there are certain materials and symbols, and those things mean things to people culturally, and they're quite significant. And so for me, that's a form of storytelling, but it's not so verbal. It's a visual thing, but it also creates prompts to memories, to experiences. And also can create ways to visualize what our future looks like.
I love that. Art can help us visualize what the future looks like. I'm going to quote it. That's so super. And as you know, we're building the Thabo Mbeki Presidential Library.
Yeah.
And for us, it's about preserving our history. It's about creating a space where it's built by Africans and it contains African stories. And for us, art will be a huge focus. We are going to have art corners. We're going to have art exhibitions. So that's going to be a space where young people can find expression, can be able to feel at home, because that's another thing we wanted. We wanted everyone to feel at home. We wanted everyone to feel like they own the place. Hence the Buy a Brick campaign. And I remember I shared it with you. So I'm hoping you can buy a brick. I'm sorry.
I'm also invested in the cause, definitely.
And then how important is it for us to be able to preserve our history?
I mean, I think, first of all, so much of our history is documented by people that aren't from here, right? And from their perspective. And so it's extremely important for us to document our histories ourselves and speak from our own perspectives and our own experiences, and also from like our ontology of thinking, right? So like the way that we've been brought up, the way that our society has groomed us, the ways in which we have experienced the space, and the way in which we have to move in our space, which is Africa. It's so important to have a space that speaks to those experiences that are localized, and that have a specific, I guess, objectivity or subjectivity. And so I think it's super important to have a space that speaks from that context, that comes from the people of Africa speaking to other Africans. I think there will, like you're saying, there'll never be enough businesses, there'll never be enough NPOs, there'll never be enough spaces that speak to our history and that speak to our experiences. And so the fact that this Thabo Mbeki Foundation can exist, the fact that we can contribute to making sure that it exists and it becomes sustainable and is something we can pass down is so important, because who else creates our history? Who else constructs our knowledge? And how else does it get disseminated but by us, you know? I think it's super important to take control of it, especially at this point where where we have so many resources in terms of like the digital space, and just being able to archive properly from now going forward, you know, and that oral tradition isn't the only way to do that. I think that's very important.
Sure. And I love what you said. And we believe that history allows us to understand who we are. And we really believe that if you do not understand who you are, you'll forever, you know, go with the wind. Whoever says you're this, you agree. You know, you're never able to say, this is who I am. And if you can't do that, you're not going to be able to determine who you can be or understand the potential that you have. So for us, preserving history is about that, giving Africans their sense of confidence back, because you know who you are, you know who your leaders, you know what they did, for you to be able to enjoy some of the freedoms that we have today. So I'm super excited that you believe in the cause as well, because I know that you'll be buying a brick.
Definitely.
But now tell me, and I know we briefly talked about, you know, where you are now, but just tell me like where you are and what's next for you. Like, how does the next year look for you? I know it's difficult to think for the future with this COVID, because everyone's just like, no, I'm just trying to be present. But where are you now? What are you doing? And what do you envision your 2022 looking like?
Okay, so at the moment I work at an art foundation, which is the NPO, and it's invested in knowledge production that comes from the Global South specifically. And for 2022, I'm currently working on taking over Black Bloc as CEO, and specifically like creating a better model for sustainable development for Black Bloc, so that we are able to help artist development and do more projects that will expand our reach within the grassroots level. But for the next 5 years, I would like to create an organization or institution that gives space to women and queer artists to create art, because there's a big gap in that sense within the art ecosystem. Is there aren't enough spaces for people to continue practicing after university, specifically after studying art or some sort of creative degree. There are not enough spaces or resources for people to be able to continue. So in the next 5 years, I'd really like to do that, and create a sustainable model for people to leave the schooling system and be able to generate their own independent careers within the arts.
Nice. That's incredible. All the best. And I was already told that you are going to be taking over Black Bloc. And you know what, as a foundation, we have some art from Black Bloc already. So thank you so much for the work that you guys are doing and for donating to our cause. It's very nice that we can be able to have young voices at the TMPL. So thank you so much. And like I said in the beginning, this is a Building Africa sort of, theme. That's why we're doing this. So I want to hear your message to the young people who will be watching this from your home. What is your message for them as we enter the holiday season?
I think definitely like be safe, be responsible, consume responsibly, spend time in nature, reconnect with family and friends in safe ways. And also, yeah, use the holiday season as the time to make meaning of your life, you know? So to reflect on your achievements, to reflect on the past year, what went right, what went wrong, looking towards what you want to do going forward. Yeah, and I think like use it as a constructive time to like rest and restore your spirit. I think that's very important.
I love the idea of rest. A lot of people think that, you know, because you open social media and you're just seeing people achieve stuff and you just feel like you should be going, and you forget to rest and you end up just reaching burnout and you're just not your physical best and you are not giving your best. So I love that. You must rest. I hope people are taking that seriously. And I don't know, what language or, well, your home language, what's your home language?
It's a complicated one. Sorry?
What language are you fluent in?
The language that I'm fluent in is English, and I can speak Afrikaans and Portuguese, but my home language technically should be is Xhosa.
Okay, so how do I say building Africa in Portuguese?
Construindo Africa, yeah.
Nice. Construindo Africa. Yeah. That's nice. So we are building Africa, and thank you for being a builder. You know, it's so easy for us to sit on the sidelines, complain, and just be like, this government, this African continent, you know. So for you to be able to be in your space, in whatever sort of work that you're doing, to be able to say, I'm putting my best foot forward for this continent. For us, we are saying thank you, salute. And we are going to be seeing you next year with Black Bloc. We are so excited for that. For art exhibitions, hopefully this COVID will be a thing of a past and we could all gather, you know, and just to really appreciate art. All the best. And thank you so much for making the time today. I know you are busy. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
That was Bulumko. Thank you so much, Bulumko.